I started conducting the San Francisco Symphony Youth Orchestra in 2019.
I started in November of 1990.
June of 2022.
1987, 88.
You know, it was because of the amazing experience I had as a member of this youth orchestra growing up that made me really kind of jump at the chance to be a part of it as a conductor. Something I never expected to, but that I've had a tremendous, rewarding and fun time.
So I was getting my master's degree at the conservatory from San Francisco, and I had some contacts, and I was also playing co-concertmaster in the San Jose Symphony at that time. And my colleagues in the sections, for instance in the violin section and other sections, had found out that there was an opening. These youth orchestras needed a conductor, and they knew that I had studied conducting and that I was basically already finished up with my master's degree in conducting in San Francisco. And they put my name out to a couple of their directors, executive directors. So I had some very quick interviews, and it sort of fell into place.
I myself was a youth orchestra member more than a decade ago, so I really enjoyed the experience, and I realized how music can be a big influence in many people's life. So since my participation in youth orchestra, I always wanted to do music as my career. So I studied conducting, I studied flute, and then one leads to another, and I'm leading a youth orchestra in California.
The job was open, and actually I'd worked with young people quite a bit, and it kept me in the Bay Area and worked well with my other groups, and so I felt it would be a good thing to do.
There are a couple of people that really actually did make a huge dent, a good dent in my life and my career. One of them was Daniel Lewis. Daniel Lewis was a conductor and conducting teacher at USC. He was an incredible conductor. And I studied at USC, of course, and worked with him. And he really taught me a lot about the actual craft and art of conducting. And his famous saying that he always used to go over was that the main thing is you must be clear. That's what the orchestra wants to see. You be clear in everything you do. And I've always thought about that, and always tried to live up to that as much as I can, because as an instrumentalist I played under many conductors who I couldn't follow at all. And that was important to me.
So many. Alistair Neal, though, the conductor during my time in the youth orchestra here, was extremely influential and just a great role model and mentor, and somebody who shaped a lot of my musical worldview at that really important time in my life. So it was just great to kind of musically grow up in an orchestra that took it so seriously and had so much fun.
One was Franco Ferrara, who is still, in my mind, the greatest conducting talent I've ever seen. He was unable to perform because he had an illness that made him faint when he performed. So he's known mostly on recordings, but he influenced a lot of conductors. I worked with him a little bit at Tanglewood. And another was Herbert Blumstedt, the former music director of the San Francisco Symphony.
I think the Jennifer Higdon Concerto for Orchestra has been one of the most interesting that I've conducted, because I think it's a fantastic piece of music.
I did play a piece of Stockhausen's, Karl-Heinz Stockhausen, with him leading the project in a hockey stadium in Germany. It was for 4 orchestras, so they were interspersed in the audience, and Stockhausen was in an array of electronics in the middle, tweaking everything as everybody made aleatoric, like hissing, popping, cracking, weird things on their instruments. So that's probably the strangest piece.
Saint-Saëns Organ Symphony, and I guess it answers your question quite well, because it's a piece that you should hear live with the organ, playing the C major chord in the last movement. Like it's supposed to reverberate through the whole hall, and it's different hearing it live than in a recording. And I'm hoping to program this maybe when I'm a little older.
If I would say a composer, it would be Debussy. Something like La Mer or Iberia. When I listen to Debussy on a recording, it doesn't hold up as well when you're not in the concert hall. I think it's because of the nature of his music and the way he orchestrates it and writes it.
Again, there's no answer. I mean, for example, I came recently to hear Gustavo Dudamel do his program with the San Francisco Symphony, and just listening to the 3 different pieces was an incredible experience, because 2 of them were brand new to me, and particularly the one that involved a solo instrument that I'd never heard before, which I believe is called a quattro. It was somewhere between a guitar and a ukulele, and the player was just an absolute genius in what he was able to do, both musically and percussively on that instrument. So that was worth the experience right there, just coming. But at the same time, he also gave a beautiful performance of the Brahms Second Symphony. So you go to each concert to experience a range of music, things that have just been written that are very exciting, and then also to go for your old favorites. So there's no, as I said at the beginning, there's no one piece that I would ever recommend.
All of them. I think.
Well, I would say I was leading the educational concert with Phoenix Symphony, and we actually went to elementary schools around the area to actually play for the kids. So seeing how the kids respond, actually, I mean, that would be the most meaningful concert for me.
One that always stands out in my mind, as well as when I was going to Northwestern in Chicago, and I heard the Houston Grand Opera came to town and played Porgy and Bess, the entire opera by Gershwin. Again, something you don't see every day. And I still can remember, as if it was yesterday, after the performance, I just walked out of McCormick Place, the big opera house that they had performed it in downtown Chicago, and I just walked around Chicago for like 2 hours, completely dazed. I didn't know where I was going, my mind was just completely blown. My favorite recording I ever listened to is of my favorite piece, which is Wagner's Meistersinger of Nuremberg. Not the overture only, but the whole 5.5-hour opera. And Herbert von Karajan recorded that.
Abbado with is it the Lutzen Festival Orchestra? I think that's what it's called. And they perform, like, there's very, very good Mahler recordings. There's a very good La Mer, Debussy La Mer of it as well.
Among many favorite recordings, there's a wonderful rendition of Strauss's 4 Last Songs, Jesse Norman and Kurt Russell.
No. The most exciting performances I've heard are things that I've heard live, and so it's more a feeling of the experience of the live concert, or something particularly exciting that happens in rehearsal.
Chicago Symphony.
Santa Cruz Symphony as well. San Francisco Symphony, all pretty great bands.
2 orchestras that continuously blow me away because of the uniqueness of their sound are the Berlin Philharmonic and the Vienna Philharmonic. I like Gustavo Dudamel a lot, and but not just for musical reasons. I think he's an incredibly honest musician, and he came out of the orchestra as a violinist, and I see him relating to players as someone who has been one of them and knows what it's like to work with them. And so I respect that enormously.
Carlos Kleiber is a real artistic hero. He established a type of trust and type of comfort that allowed people to bring their creativity out in a certain amount of flair and authenticity.
Conductors were super musical. Petrenko with Berlin Philharmonic right now. Yavi as well. Yavi with his Beethoven recordings are always great as well.
To see people's lives change, just the realization that being in the orchestra gives them an experience of being in a community. For about 4 or 5 of the rehearsals, they start out working with sectional coaches, and then go from that to having a dinner and socializing with each other. And then after that, to come to work with me. So they're getting to know each other and the organization on a lot of different levels, all the way through that. And by the time that we get to performances, we're a community. And so there's very much that feeling.
Not all my musicians are going to be full-time musicians in the end. In fact, like I guess like almost 95% of them are going into other industries, other field of work after they graduate. So this is really a great to me it's a great outreach of promoting classical music to the general audience.
The process of learning a masterpiece together from a fresh perspective is a very limiting process, and something that's really unique and wonderful about working with students. Actually, I'll tell you, as a violist, when I was in an orchestra, I saw a conductor put a baton through his hand on a very vigorous second beat, went under the tendon, out the other side, so that there was like, first half of his baton was stuck in his hand. He kept on conducting for a few measures until the blood got all over other players' hands. It was terrifying.
When I was younger, I played in the American Youth Symphony in Los Angeles. But that was conducted for many years by Zubin Mehta's father, Meili Mehta. And I was the concertmaster of that orchestra. And he was very strict. We were playing a big concert that was being televised in Los Angeles at the Dorothy Chandler Pavilion. And we played a piece on the first half by Bloch that has chorus and a singer. And there was a chair on the stage because the singer has to sit for a long time, like in some of the smaller symphonies. And so we did the first half, and the stage manager at the Dorothy Chandler Pavilion somehow forgot to take the chair off the stage for the second half. So Maida, a conductor, walks out and he looks at the chair, and he had a terrible temper. And he picked the chair up and he threw it at me. He really did, he threw it at me. I didn't get hurt, but this is in front of a full crowd, and it was also televised. Because he was so pissed off that I had not made sure that the chair would be removed from the stage before I walked out to tune the orchestra. And then, I mean, I was upset about that, you can imagine. But then he gets on the podium, raises his arms, and what do we have to start with? The beginning of the second suite of Daphnis and Chloe.
In the string groups, I like the cello section the most. It's closest to my voice, so I think if I were to play a cello, I think I can express very well on it.
To me, the cello is the most versatile instrument. You know, it has the largest range of any instrument except the harp.
I am biased towards the violists, but that has nothing to do with me being a violist.
I wouldn't say that the percussion section is my favorite, but sometimes I give them a bit more attention than other conductors do.
San Francisco Symphony Youth Orchestra.
GSYO.
Oh, Young People's Symphony Orchestra.
the CYS is the absolutely the best.